So in this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the ribbon cable to the Split 3 Micro. Let's go. What's going on, guys? So this is the R3DWhoop4K. And for many of you who are following along, you'll know that it has been a while since we have seen this guy. And it's been for very good reason. So what had happened the last time you saw this, or shortly after the last time you saw this, is the maiden flight. I went to go ahead and record that flight. I had adjusted the up tilt on this and lost picture entirely. And moving the ribbon cable a little bit, I was able to retrieve and lose some video signal. So I very quickly came to the realization that the ribbon cable is faulty from the factory. So I reached out to Runcam and they shipped me this. And they do sell this on their website. This is like $7 or $8, something like that. Replacement wiring. And I don't know yet if it's the same length. We'll figure that out as I take it out. But they have I think it's like a 90-day warranty, and they shipped this to me under warranty. They were a little reluctant to even ship this, though. I was a little upset, but after some emails back and forth, they did ship it out. They shipped it on a slow boat, so that is why it took quite a while for me to get this in my hands. Of course, by the time I've got this, I was already knee-deep into another project, and so I've been sitting on it for probably 2 or 3 weeks now, unfortunately. But today's a video where we're gonna replace it. So let's get into that, but I just want to send a thanks out to Runcam for actually sending me this and sticking by your warranty. I appreciate that. So there's that. But anyway, so yeah, they, you know, this would be a lot easier if they would have just sent out a new camera and I could have mailed this one back to them or whatever, but this is how we ended up dealing with it. So yeah, there's that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and crack this guy open. So the things that we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to remove the camera itself, because we're going to need to get into the camera. And we're also going to have to remove the camera card. Now, for those of you who remember, I installed this on a removable wiring, so that's going to be a good thing here. Now, let me swap this to a Phillips head so we can remove these 4 screws. Okay, and then if you haven't seen the build video, I'll put the card there. I did switch this from that build video. I twisted this card. I felt like there was a little bit more room to adjust for up tilt if you put the cable facing inwards, and I didn't really like that originally because it put this card kind of sideways here, and I'm still not 100% certain how easy it is to get a card in or out of that. But at this point, I think it'll be good to get this guy in the air, card or not. Okay, so seeing as we're gonna have to take this camera out anyways, let's go ahead and remove the canopy. These are little M1 screws, I believe. Okay, so there's our canopy screws out, and then we've got 2 more in the front here. So I'm going to remove those just to pull the canopy off, and then we can remove the screws from the camera. We're going to pull the camera out of the canopy. All right, now that that's out, we need our 1.5 millimeter to remove the camera. And that's just 2 screws on either side. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna pop our camera right out the back. Just like that. Okay. Next, we want to see about moving these screws kind of upwards here to get this Roflex off of here, to get the camera card out to a place that we can work on it. Okay, so if you're going to do this, be very careful of the components on the board. You don't want to accidentally remove any of them. You just want to get it up enough so that you can get your fingernails underneath it and pull it right off. Okay. All right. So now we can access the card. I'm gonna pull that straight up and out. Okay, so our card is liberated. Go ahead and pull our power wire off that. Okay, now that we have that set, what I want to do is kind of put this off to the side. And we are going to attack this side first. Now, what I want to do is put something underneath this to not hit the quad with any kind of heat. Because we're going to use a heat gun. And I don't want to melt it. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is something like this. And hold this with the quad hands. Okay, it's not super out of the way, but that should... At least it's not like a direct blast of heat. I'm just gonna put one more just for good measure. Okay. So that's kind of out of the way. Okay, so they say to hit this with 160 degrees C heat. I have this is the Tack Life. There's the things there. So on the back of this, I have an adjustment here. I'm going to put it on 2 and then fan speed 2. And we're going to see if that's enough to make this happen. So far, this is not enough heat. What I am going to do is kind of preheat the board. And I'm also going to remove my SD card just in case. Needs to be held a little bit more firmly than it already is. Okay. Okay, so I moved that up to 3, if that helps, and it does seem to have worked. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to get these wires side by side, so I just kind of peeled up on either side, and I just push this guy back on there, just like that. Okay, so that is the board is complete. Now we could glue this back on I don't want to. I think I'm gonna leave it the way it is. Okay, and now we have access to our camera. Unless we want to take this quad apart, we're gonna need to fish that wire back through. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and fish the camera side card through, and then we'll deal with this after. So let's go fish this guy through here. Remove this. Okay, so I'm gonna fish this guy through here. And all this comes apart. We can probably do this if we were to remove the flight controller, but that to me is way too involved with the time that I have right now. Okay, so that's the board back in place. Let's put these screws back in. And before I do that, let me clip this in place here. Okay, now let's put these screws back in place. Some of you are probably wondering why I didn't cut these a little bit shorter. I should have, but I didn't. Definitely should. What I don't want to do is pinch these wires there. So I'm going to drag them underneath here like that, so we don't lose power, ground, or video to vibrations. Okay. There's that. Now, how is this going to sit? I want this captured, but I don't want it flopping around. And I certainly don't want it near that battery there. So I'm going to place this here like that. Okay. And then like that. Okay, so that's held in place. Okay, so let's see if we can install the SD card, which fits right in there. As you can see, this is not going to be easy to get to, but I think it will fit fairly good. So the SD card is accessible with it like that. It's just not easy to do. Okay. So once we've got that, let's go ahead and put our nuts back on and screw the card in place. And again, frozen fingers and tiny nuts don't mix. Now that we got our camera card back in place and the plug is cinched down, we're going to set that aside for a second and we're going to concentrate on the camera. Now this camera, as you can see, it's got four, these are Phillips head screws. We're going to remove these. These are tiny little M1s. Go ahead and remove those. Now when we pull this out, we want to be very careful because we're probably going to be getting into the camera sensor. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this out, and as you can see, that's your sensor. So we want to be careful with that. Okay, I'm gonna put this camera card off to the side, and I'm also gonna put that like that. So now this has a piece of like rubberized stuff. We don't want to lose that. That's to keep this thing from jostling around. And if we look at this, this does not have that same glue that they put on it. So that is a good thing because we have the camera card out. We don't want stuff flying around the room from the hot air gun. So not having that goober is a really good thing. So now take your camera card and we're gonna connect the ribbon cable right to it. And you're gonna get a couple of nice clicks out of it, one from either side. All right, and now we want the camera, the housing, and if you look at this, you can see, let's see if I can do this without touching shit here. Okay, so what we're looking for here is this kind of indentation, and then it's got this line here. That is going to be the side where you put the ribbon cable. So we want to flip that so it's facing down, and the ribbon cable is going to come right out of that. And we want to place this guy inside there, just like this, okay? Now, there's the foam. We want to put that back onto the back of the ribbon cable. And then we want to take the camera back and place that back in place, just like this. Okay, and then that presses in place, just like that. Now we can run our screws back in. And with this, I'm gonna go one on one side and then go and do the opposite corner. And I'm going somewhat snug, just until that back plate sits flush. Okay, so with any amount of luck, this camera should be fixed. So let's test it out. So I've got my monitor hooked in with the quad to a splitter, hooked into my power supply, and I'm gonna feed it with 11 volts. I feel like that's a good voltage that'll power everything, and I don't need to worry about smoking anything. So let's turn that on. Okay, quad is on, ESCs have fired. And let's turn on our monitor and see what we've got. Oh, we've got video. We've got video. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if I might also, what's up? Yeah, it's cold out. Yeah, so that's, oh, hell yeah. Okay, great. That makes me happy. Now, if we look over here, you can see 10.8 volts. There's some significant losses running these little tiny wires, feeding 11 volts into it and then getting 10.8 out. But you know what, it is what it is. Oh, wait a minute. No. It's showing 11 volts there. Interesting, 10.8 there. So this is for the monitor. The monitor is only seeing 10.8, but the quad is seeing 11 volts, and that's what I'm feeding it. Let me, I'm gonna bump that up to 11.5 and see what happens here. That is 11.51 at 1 amp, and this is 11.3. 11.5. So what's nice is the flight controller is 100% calibrated, because that is dead nuts. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so if I bring this up to, I can go as high as, let's go to 12 volts and see what that does. 12 point, yeah, see, there we go, 12.6, that's 4.2. Okay. All right, so it doesn't get any more calibrated than that. That's nice to know that I can now trust these voltages. But the big news is, guys, I have video again. I have freaking stinking video again. Oh, that means I can fly this, and that's not this video. I apologize, but let's put it back together and test it one more time after it's back together to make sure that we still have video. Awesome. Oops, off. Okay. Oh, freaking awesome. All right, so let's get this guy out of the way. So yeah, if you don't have a monitor yet and you're doing bench stuff like this, I suggest one. That's a lot easier than grab my goggles. It's also easier to show you guys. So let's put this camera back. I'm gonna put it back in the housing here. Just like this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the canopy on first. So that's these two screws in front of the camera. And that's one less thing that's gonna wiggle around as I put this back together. And I can still get a screwdriver in there, and I show you in a moment. Okay, so there's that. Now we can line this up, the camera. And because this is a CineWhoop, you want a fairly flattened trajectory as far as up tilt goes. So I'm gonna go with, I'm probably gonna go with like 5 degrees or something just starting out. I really don't know where this one sits best, and in the flight video, like, I'll let you guys know what I end up going with for an up tilt. But just if I had to guess at this particular quad, that's probably where I'd start. It's like 5 degrees or something. Nice, slow, methodical flight. Okay. What's nice about these MIP tools, and again, I keep on like promoting these things as if I'm getting paid, and I'm not. Like, I just love these tools. It's most of this stuff that I show you is not getting me, actually all of it is not getting me any money. It's just stuff that I use, that I enjoy, and I love good freaking tools. So I like to share that information with you guys. But yeah, my point being there was you can just take the screw head and put it right into that MIP and not have to worry about coming out. And it's not magnetic, it's just such a good fit. The screwdriver here, though, I can't say the same for. This thing sucks. It's just a small little Amazon special. I purchased it not intending to use it as often as I do. It's just kind of a, you know, oh, it must be good to have a pair of eyeglass things around the house kind of thing. So that's what that came from. So this is nothing special, but that, holy MIP, if you're watching this video, please make a full set more than just the top 3 that are used in RC. I would use them all over the place for larger RCs. All right, so one thing I do want to do is the antenna situation on this. I have, again, installed Crossfire. I don't like this antenna right here. It's on the canopy. I don't know that it would break the canopy, but I just feel like it's a lot of unnecessary stress on a very small part of it. I guess what I'm getting at is if a part could break, that's where it would break. And you know, I don't want to have to replace a whole canopy. I don't think I'd have to replace the whole canopy if that did break, but I don't like the antenna that way. It moves around. It's probably going to vibrate, and there's got to be a better solution. So if you're watching this and you have this quad and you're using Crossfire on it, awesome. Let me know how you did your antennas. I showed those in an earlier video. I got the active element here and then the ground plane here. And this is the antenna system that comes with the transmitter. Okay, so the camera is just a pinch crooked, but more importantly, I want to check it again because we have picture, and I want to make sure we still have picture. Because, yeah, let's see if we still have picture. So we can go up to, what was that? What did I put that to? 12.6? I don't know. I shut this off, so I don't really know. All right, so quad has power. ESCs have power. And camera card has power. Let's see if we have video. Perfect. Ah, perfect. Oh, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, so I'm gonna go charge a battery and see if I can't get this thing in the air. Hell yeah. So that's it. It flies. And the footage looks pretty damn good too. There is some shakes to it, but that's because it's untuned. It's got, when I give it like 3/4 throttle, it's got some prop bush issues. So I'm gonna have to tune that out. But overall, a pretty good flyer. And I'm gonna get some good footage out of this. I am happy that this is finally in working order, done. That took way too long to get this guy going. Absolutely way too long to get it going. But you know what? That's part of the gig when you're dealing with parts from China. You know, and some of these small electronics are a little finicky, but you know, we had this guy apart and built a couple of times. I am happy that I put the Crossfire in this, especially with the Fusion and the what did I put, the Nano VTX in here as well. That was nice. You didn't need to, well, I didn't need to pull this canopy off or anything to reflash the RX, because under the latest firmware for Crossfire, you need to relink, and I didn't need to touch anything. So that was awesome. And switching VTX channels and power, that's pretty good too. I enjoyed being able to do that without having to take this off. So yeah, all in all, a win. I'm definitely happy with this little quad. Again, I'm gonna redo these antennas at some date. You know, I don't really like how this one's on. Probably, I'll call it the weakest portion of the canopy, even though that I don't think it's that weak. Just, you know, this constantly getting pulled at. I don't know what's gonna occur. So I definitely want to put that someplace different. Maybe like I did with this one here on the actual frame inside underneath. But yeah, beyond that, I think everything else turned out pretty well. I might want to liberate these motor wires like I did here. But again, I think it's all right. But yeah, the other thing is I'm glad that I went with 3S on this and not 2S. I think originally this was 2S and I had problems with the flight controller. Or that may have been, is this a nameless? Yeah, so this is a nameless. This is the one that we changed the flight controller and redid the VTX and the RX. That's right. This was originally going to be a 2S, and I'm glad it's not. The 3S has plenty ample power, because this is a little bit heavier of a craft. So let's see what this guy weighs. So 62 grams, all done, and whatever the battery weighs once you put it on there. I'm using the Tattoo 450 3S, but yeah, pretty good. I am happy with this little guy. So we're gonna be seeing more footage from this guy, especially once the weather starts warming up and my backyard is in a swamp. As you can see, some of it's pretty bad, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. Even around the house, I think this one's going to be good to fly indoors. I normally don't like to fly a 3S indoors, but I think it'll be all right, you know, with the very light up tilt, nice, slow, methodical flying. You know, once I get those, the shakes and bobbles tuned out, this is going to be good, you know, and I think I probably do that with just RPM filtering and a little bit of P&D. So yeah, that's all it was. Stupid freaking ribbon cable. So for those of you that want to know, that the ribbon cables are the exact same size. I wish they were longer, but it is what it is. So I'm sorry that took so long. I know a bunch of you were eager to see this thing up in the air and to see some footage from it. I was too. And now it's done. So I got a few more quads to repair. So until then, I bid you farewell, and I wish you well in your FPV adventures. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy this quad, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done it already, go ahead and punch that subscribe button, because you only get to do it once, and it's fun. And I'll catch you later. Peace.